Hello, I am Max from Test Drive Blogs, and today, let's have a look at this 2005 Smart for 2 Passion Coupe.
And yes, the smart car is the one that is owned by Robert Dunn from the Aging Wheels YouTube channel. You can check out his stuff in the description below. It's hilarious, and you definitely should. He has all kinds of crazy cars, and it was also incredibly interesting as well.
And of course, the first gen Smart is a pretty interesting car, as you can tell here by the key already. It's kind of this round design, it has a few buttons on it. It's kind of a strange key, to say the least. The Smart is finished off in a silver exterior. With kind of a blue-gray cloth interior. And of course, similar to the later Smarts, you have a door that has a little rear quarter window in it, which is definitely interesting. Got a pocket.
Power window switch and the door handle up above.
Main mirror control up here on top. And of course, the main interesting thing about this Smart is that the first generation Smart for 2, which this one is part of,
although later on after they were first introduced, some Smart for 2s such as this one were federalized for the United States market, which included like headlights and other little safety systems that they didn't have over in Europe, which makes this car actually extremely rare to see in the US.
And of course, continuing on with the Smart's strange features, you have the keyhole down here, which to start, put the key in, turn it on, put your foot on the brake, shift up into neutral because you have to shut in reverse to shut it off, and let's fire it up. And yes, that buzzer won't go off until I shut the door, as you can tell there, maybe. Oh, now I need my seatbelt on. So the interior design philosophy of the Smart isn't anything crazy. You got a 2-spoke steering wheel here in the middle, headlights on the left, windshield wipers on the right, and your extremely simple gauge cluster here, which has a speedometer and a digital fuel gauge and your gear readout and a temperature gauge on the right. You actually have your door lock above the hazard light button there. As I said, your AC and your defrost. And on the sides here, you have either recirculating or fresh air, as well as a fan speed here on the right. It's definitely an interesting way to lay it out, but it's definitely interestingly laid out. It's nice to see like they used kind of what they had instead of trying to make something more than what it needed to be. Aftermarket radio down below that, with your climate control in between. Down below is a little courtesy light, as well as a cigarette lighter. And nothing much else until you get to the shifter. So you can tell it's in neutral right now. Push it to the left, it's in manual mode, which is interesting because it has a clutch, kind of like a regular car, except for it's automated. So you can actually feel the clutch engaging while you're driving, but you're not actually using a clutch. And of course you shift forward by pushing forward, shift down by pushing back. Auto mode is selected by this little button here, and then reverse is over here. Of course, keyhole behind that, and your emergency brake behind that. Manual dimming rearview mirror. And you have starting instructions up here, as well as shutting it off. And so let's shut it off. You have to have it in reverse to take the key out fully. And let's check out the outside.
The first generation of the Smart for 2 came out in 1998 and ran all the way until 2007. When it was replaced by the second generation, which was also available in the US finally. Throughout its nearly 10-year run, it did have a few changes, mostly with the outside looks and whatnot, but the main style of the car stayed pretty much the same. The design of the Smart was pretty groundbreaking back in the day, and still kind of is. Because of its very, very small size, it was built very differently from a normal car. Such as the body is more of an exoskeleton of sorts, rather than normal body of a car like you normally see. Basically all of the body except for the front clip and the bumpers and the doors. The entire body is one piece and is very, very well structured. Because as you can tell, this car wouldn't be incredibly safe in an accident of any sort. And thus gives the car its strange little shape. And speaking of styling, this Smart car is one of the strangest cars you'll see on the roads today. Sure, because of its size, but it's also incredibly strange styling. Such as how the front end just kind of drops off instead of having a true nose, as well as things such as the wheels being staggered between the front and the back. The back wheels are a lot wider than the front wheels. The Smart small size actually comes in handy in other places too, such as with parking, where in a normal parallel parking spot, you can actually park this car sideways instead of back to front like you normally would, because its length is about as wide as the average parking spot. thus proving to be a very good city car. Some more interesting things about this Smart is that it actually has a glass roof, so it feels a lot bigger than it actually is, because you can look out and you have more light coming in and whatnot. It also features a 700cc inline 3 engine with a turbocharger. It makes around 50 to 60 horsepower, I'm not entirely sure of which one it was. In this car, I think it was the lower one, as well as mated to the 6-speed semi-automatic transmission. Oddly enough, a 3-cylinder diesel was also an option on these. And with that, this car was actually considered rear engine as well, with the cooling system up front, but the engine was basically on the rear axle.
Of course, this one does have the US mandated lights for the headlights and the side marker lights that were added on after it got imported. Kind of funny looking too. And then the first generation specific brake lights, as well as a rear fog light on the left and only on the left. Real gas cap. Fake gas cap. Another cool thing about the outside of the Smart is it has this little badge that shows the VIN, model year, and as well as release number. And it shows that, of course, it is an original Smart. Alright, so I just happened to notice, so you hear the buzzer right now. It sounds normal. I open the door. What is that sound? It's like pulsing. But we'll go ahead and turn it around. And I'll go ahead and shoot a little bit of it. I'll put the seatbelt on so it doesn't actually keep buzzing. But as I said, to drive this car, the shifter's pretty easy actually. You just put it over here and you're in first gear, as it shows on the dashboard right there. And then undo the brake. And you can also put it in auto mode, like I said, which has a little A that shows up here. But as we go, you have to notice I let off the brake and we're not moving. So it works like an actual clutch. Take that off, yeah. So it actually works like an actual clutch. It's pretty neat. It's definitely a weird experience. Considering I've never actually driven a car like this. And then put neutral, just put it back there, and e-brake on. No. Of course, nothing's all too crazy over here. I do like these vents on top of the dash though. Ones that kind of pop out. There's one on the driver's side too. It's a neat little touch. And of course you do have an airbag over here that looks very out of place, but I guess that's what you get when you buy a Smart. There's nothing else too crazy over here. You can flip this around. If you watched Robert's video on this car, you probably know why that's like that, or probably seen it like that. I'm curious also what these little holes are on the doors. I have absolutely no clue. Pretty simple though. And of course the Smart is rear engined with a little motorcycle engine. So you hit this button here, it pops rear glass, which then you just kind of pull up on. Doesn't really have a handle or anything. And then you pull up on these, which I have to do with two, well maybe not. Oh, there we go. And then there's your cargo area back here. You have a little bit of space. Actually more than I was expecting for such a small car. And then under here, you do have the engine. And of course, as I mentioned, it will still buzz because I don't have the seatbelt on. But there's the engine running. It's absolutely tiny. It's got a turbocharger somewhere. Nice little cooling fan right there. It's definitely interesting to look at. It's very quiet too. So we'll close this up.
brakes are so slow.
Oh yeah.
It's easily the worst part.
It tells us how slow it is. And so thank you all so much for watching this video of the 2005 Smart for 2 Passion Coupe. You can check out Aging Wheels in the description below, and please do, he has some amazing content. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'm out of here. See ya. I hear a Trabant. Don't know where it is, but I hear a Trabant. And then, you turn the key to start. Or not. Hello? What is happening? I hear the Trabant again. Oh, and it died. As you can tell by the top of the shifter here, it is in neutral now. If you go over here, oh. There it goes. And so let's check out the passenger side. It's locked, I think. Is it?